Hello there. Welcome to video 161 from Sumit Academy. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel. Do subscribe now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. And do remember to like and share this video too. To make your task a little easier, here is a complete list of all the 161 videos available on my YouTube channel. The list is divided into the playlists under which they are available. Do have a look. In this video, we shall study the various security forces in the country and their mandate. Before we begin, please do note that this is not an authoritative version of the armed forces or the other security forces. For that, you must go to the respective websites of the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force and the other security forces. This video will only give you a quick overview of the armed forces to help you for any examination question, especially the civil services, where all answers are to be written in about 250 to 300 words only. For our examination purposes, we will divide the Indian security apparatus into 4 different kinds of organizations. The first group consists of the external security forces, that is, the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force. The second group is that of the Central Paramilitary Forces, consisting of the Indian Coast Guard, the Territorial Army, the Border Roads Organizations, and the Assam Rifles. The third group is the Central Armed Police Forces, or the CAPF, consisting of 6 forces: Border Security Force, Central Industrial Security Force, Central Reserve Police Force, Indo-Tibetan Border Police, Sashastra Seema Bal, and the Railway Protection Force. The fourth and the final group is that of the Central Intelligence and Investigating Agencies, consisting of 8 organizations, that is, the National Investigation Agency, the Central Bureau of Investigation, the Research and Analysis Wing, that is the RAW, Intelligence Bureau, Enforcement Directorate, Director General of Income Tax Investigation, Narcotics Control Bureau, and finally the National Technical Research Organization or the NTRO. In this video, we shall discuss the role of the armed forces and that of the Central Paramilitary Forces. The second, third, and fourth series parts of the series will include the other three groups. The external security of the nation vests with the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, and the Indian Air Force. The Indian Army is the land-based branch and the largest component of the Indian Armed Forces. It is commanded by the Chief of the Army Staff, called the COAS, who is a four-star general. Two officers have been conferred with the rank of Field Marshal, a five-star rank, which is a ceremonial position of great honor. The Indian Army originated from the armies of the East India Company, which eventually became the British Indian Army, and the armies of the princely states, which became the National Army after independence. The units and regiments of the Indian Army have diverse histories and have participated in a number of battles and campaigns across the world, earning a large number of battle and theatre honors both before and after independence. The primary mission of the Indian Army is to ensure national security and unity, defending the nation from external aggression and internal threats, and maintaining peace and security within its borders. It conducts humanitarian rescue operations during natural calamities and other disturbances, and can also be requisitioned by the government to cope with internal threats. The army has been involved in 4 wars with neighboring Pakistan and 1 with China. Apart from conflicts, the army has conducted large peacetime exercises and has also been an active participant in numerous United Nations peacekeeping missions, including the ones in Cyprus, Lebanon, Congo, Angola, Cambodia, Vietnam, Namibia, El Salvador, Liberia, Mozambique, and Somalia. The Indian Navy is the sea branch of the Indian Armed Forces. The Chief of the Naval Staff, a 4-star officer in the rank of Admiral, commands the Navy. The Indian Navy is the 5th largest in the world. It played an important role in India's victory in the 1971 Indo-Pakistan War. The Indian Navy can trace its lineage back to the East India Company's Marine, which was founded in 1612 to protect British merchant shipping in the region. In 1830, the colonial navy became known as Her Majesty's Indian Navy. When India became a republic in 1950, the Royal Navy was renamed to Indian Navy. The primary objective of the Navy is to secure the nation's maritime borders. India also uses its Navy to enhance its international relations through joint exercises, port visits, and humanitarian missions, including disaster relief. In recent years, the Indian Navy has undergone rapid modernization to replace its aging equipment currently in service. This is often seen as part of India's drive to develop blue water capabilities and enhance its position in the Indian Ocean region. The military role of the Indian Navy involves the use of power over enemies who threaten national security in our maritime borders. Its diplomatic role involves protecting foreign policy objectives and strengthening international relations to warn off enemies. Though the use of force is the last resort for any action, the prime importance of the Indian Navy is to protect the maritime zones of India through low intensity maritime operations, which is its constabulary role. This ensures law and order in the maritime zones under its control and protects harbors and ports on the Indian coast. We now come to the Indian Air Force, an organization which I served for 33 years. The Indian Air Force is the air arm of the Indian Armed Forces. It is the world's fourth largest air force in terms of both personnel and aircraft. Its primary responsibility is to secure Indian airspace and to conduct aerial warfare during a conflict. It was officially established on 8th October 1932 as an auxiliary air force of the British Empire, and the prefix Royal was added in 1945 in recognition of its services during World War II. The prefix Royal was dropped when India became a republic in 1950. Since independence, the Indian Air Force has been involved in 4 wars with Pakistan and 1 with China. Apart from conflicts, the IAF has been an active participant in United Nations peacekeeping missions. The Chief of Air Staff and Air Chief Marshal is a 4-star officer and commands the Air Force. The rank of Marshal of the Air Force, that is the equivalent of a Field Marshal of the Army, has been conferred once on Arjun Singh on 26 January 2002. The mission of the Indian Air Force is defense of India and every part thereof, including preparation for defense, and all such acts as may be conducive in times of war to its prosecution and after its termination to effective demobilization. Thus, the Indian Air Force has the primary objective of safeguarding Indian territory and national interests from all threats in conjunction with the other branches of the armed forces by defending the Indian airspace. The IAF provides close air support to the Indian Army troops in the battlefield and provides strategic and tactical airlift capabilities. The IAF also operates the Integrated Space Cell together with the other 2 branches of the Indian Armed Forces, the Civilian Department of Space and the Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO), to utilize more effectively the country's space-based assets for military purposes and to look into threats to these assets. The Indian Air Force, along with the other branches of the Indian Armed Forces, is usually the first responder and provides assistance in disaster relief, such as during natural calamities, by undertaking evacuation or search and rescue called SAR operations and airdropping relief supplies in affected areas. The Indian Air Force provided extensive assistance to relief operations during natural calamities such as the Gujarat cyclone in 1998, the tsunami in 2004, and the North India floods in 2013. The IAF also provides assistance to other countries during relief activities. We now come to the second group, that is the Central Paramilitary Forces. These consist of the Indian Coast Guard, the Territorial Army, the Border Roads Organization, and the Assam Rifles. Now, why are they called paramilitary forces? Paramilitary forces are distinct from the regular armed forces of the country, but resemble them in organization, equipment, training, or mission. In comparison with the civilian police forces, the paramilitary forces provide a more disciplined and better trained force. Their military training makes them more capable of dealing with all types of violence. Their role focuses on a wide range of activities, from deterring potential aggressors, resolving conflicts, and protecting national interests, promoting peace, and in anti-smuggling operations. They also play an important role in supporting civil authorities during domestic crises and providing humanitarian assistance during natural and man-made disasters, and re-establishing law and order in conflict areas, a task which is suited to their purpose, training, and capabilities. Let us look at the first of these central paramilitary forces, that is the Indian Coast Guard. Established on 18th August 1978, the origin of the Indian Coast Guard was the outcome of the need to enforce national laws in the waters under national jurisdiction and ensure safety of life and property at sea. Its mandate includes safety and protection of offshore installations and islands from threat of terrorism, providing protection to fishermen and the maritime environment, including prevention and control of maritime pollution, assisting customs in anti-smuggling operations, ensuring safety of life and property at sea, and in enforcement of the Maritime Zones of India Act 1976. How is it organized? The total coastline of India has been divided into three Coast Guard regions: Western region with headquarters at Mumbai, Eastern region at Chennai, and the Andaman and Nicobar Islands region at Port Blair. The three regions are further divided into 11 Coast Guard districts. The East Coast has four: Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Paradeep, and Haldia. The West Coast has Porbandar, Mumbai, Goa, New Mangalore, and Kochi. Andaman and Nicobar Islands has Diglipur and Campbell Bay. Next, we have the Border Roads Organization, the BRO. The Border Roads Organization is a civil engineering organization for providing civil, that is, construction engineering services to the armed forces during times of peace and war. Its mandate includes developing means of communication in the remote areas of Northeast region. It usually has projects in hostile and difficult areas where private companies and state public work departments are not willing to work due to security issues and harsh climate, like in Naxal-affected areas. It is manned partly by civil engineers drawn from the Corps of Engineers of the Indian Army, but mainly by those recruited directly. This complement of directly recruited personnel are called the General Reserve, Engineer Force, or GRIF. If you have been up in the hills, you would have seen boards of the BRO and the GRIF. BRO is under Ministry of Defense for specific deployment, but under the Ministry of Highways for general administration. The third paramilitary force is the Territorial Army. This is composed of volunteers who receive military training for a few days in a year so that in case of an emergency they can be mobilized for the defense of the country. It is mandated to be the second line of defense after the army. It is not a profession, occupation, or a source of employment. It is only meant for those people who are already in civilian professions. In fact, gainful employment or self-employment in a civil profession is a prerequisite for joining the Territorial Army. Its mandate is to relieve the army from static duties and assist civil administration in dealing with natural calamities and maintenance of essential services in situations where life is affected or the security of the country is threatened. As and when required, it also provides units for the Indian Army. The Territorial Army has a strength of approximately 40,000, comprising of departmental Territorial Army units such as the Railways, Indian Oil Corporation, the ONGC, Telecommunication, and General Hospital. The non-departmental Territorial Army units of infantry battalions and ecological battalions are affiliated to various infantry regiments of the Indian Army. Territorial Army units were actively involved in 1962, 1965 and 1971 operations. The Terriers have also taken part in Operation Pavan in Sri Lanka, Operation Rakshak in Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir, Operation Rhino and Operation Bajrang in the Northeast. Departmental units came to the aid of the civil authorities during industrial unrest and natural calamities, such as the earthquake in Latur, that is in Maharashtra, in Uttarkashi, and during the super cyclone in Odisha. Ecological units have arrested man-made environmental degradation by planting 2.5 crore trees over 20,000 hectares of land in Mussoorie Hills and Pithoragarh in Uttar Pradesh, Bikaner and Jaisalmer, and the ravines of Chambal. Our fourth central paramilitary force is the Assam Rifles. Not to be confused with the Assam Regiment of the Indian Army, the Assam Rifles is the oldest paramilitary force of India and is affectionately called the Friends of the Hill People. It was formed under the British in 1835 to protect the fertile regions of Assam from the uncontrollable tribes and called Chachar Levy. Since then, it has undergone several name changes. The Assam Frontier Police in 1883, the Assam Military Police in 1891, and Eastern Bengal and Assam Military Police in 1913, before finally becoming the Assam Rifles in 1917. It has taken part in many counterinsurgency operations and since 2002 has been guarding the Indo-Myanmar border as per the government policy of one border, one force. Through its deployment in what has become known as the Tribal Belt, the Assam Rifles have developed an ethos that is based primarily upon the notion of extending the hand of friendship with the people of the region, despite the troubles that have occurred there. This has resulted in their employment in several developmental activities in the region. As such, their role has been further expanded to include the provision of medical assistance and basic education, assisting in reconstruction and agriculture, and handling communications in remote areas. Well, that's all from me in this video. In our next 3 videos, we shall have a look at the Central Armed Police Forces, the Special Forces, and the Central Intelligence and Investigative Agencies. This video is based on the information freely available on the internet. No originality is claimed for the same. The intention of this video is only to prepare candidates for answering examination questions on the subject and not for any financial gain. Do like and share this video, and do subscribe to my channel now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. Till later then, cheerio.